As presidential contenders begin falling from the sky like failed promises, Hillary Clinton going on the attack with her plan for immigration citizenship, and the battle is joined. There's a battle going on against those seeking to kill anyone and everyone who does not follow their faith. A fight you will never see, and one that will affect every living person. And your reason to live this week is a pseudo-holiday which most people completely misunderstand and think it was created for nothing more than the sport of tequila shooting. I'm Ed Berliner. Class is down. Pour another helping of the only show that never fears being cut off because we question everything. This is MidPoint.
Law enforcement officials here in the Dallas suburb of Garland, Texas, say that the shooting erupted just about 10 minutes before the Mohammed art exhibit and cartoon contest was supposed to be wrapping up. It's not exactly known if the organizers of this event were the ones that were being targeted, but that is clearly the suspicion that law enforcement is operating under.
Every day we find ourselves in a different situation, but every day we find ourselves confronted with another hammer to our way of life from those who claim to be global terrorists, when in reality many of them are the wayward and mindless. No matter where they sprang from, they all need money to carry out their plans, which leads us to a war America has been waging long before we connected the words ISIS with anything more than the Egyptian goddess. All you have to do is follow the money, my friend. This is just a piece of our time and a piece of the moment that we have to discuss. Juan Zarate is a gentleman who is the former deputy assistant to the president, deputy national security advisor. He's now senior advisor at the Center for Strategic and International Funds. He's one that has come out with a book called Treasury's War, The Unleashing of a New Era of Financial Warfare. The book itself really does not touch on anything that you would consider to be a normal set for war, but it puts us into a footing of what war is these days. Because for more than a decade now, America has been waging a new kind of war against financial networks of rogue regimes, proliferators, terrorist groups, and criminal syndicates. It is those people that we need to look at. Juan Zarate is scheduled to join us, but right at the moment we are having technical difficulties in connecting with him. So we're going to take a few moments here and hopefully see if we can connect with him, but we want to bring this to the attention of our audience because we simply don't talk about it enough. There are people out there. Let's take, for instance, the incident, if you will, this past weekend near Dallas, Texas, and the attack there. The two individuals who were killed who claimed to be close to ISIS, who claimed that they were speaking for ISIS. And then let us look at what happened then in the last 24 hours when ISIS itself comes out and says, we are responsible for it. They provide absolutely no proof whatsoever that they had any hand in what happened in Dallas, Texas. None. But here's something that we need to discuss that Juan Zarate's book looks at and that we will look at with guests as we go down the road here. Because more than just looking at the fact that ISIS will tell you every single time that they are in control. They will tell you that they are responsible for it. They will tell you that they set up the people. There is no proof. There is also no current proof at the moment that the individuals involved in Dallas came from an ISIS faction or that they received training under ISIS guidance of any kind. There is also no solid proof at the moment that ISIS is crossing the border. As a matter of fact, we recently had a chance to talk with Jesse Ventura, the former governor of Minnesota, and even he laughed at that. He said, why would anybody come over the border from Mexico? He thinks that it simply is nothing more than a smokescreen. But getting back to the point that we need to make, in the book, The Unleashing of a New Era of Financial Warfare and Treasury's War, it brings up the fact that we are dealing with a White House, an administration, a government at the moment that is seeking to do everything it possibly can to find the money. Because whether it is two individuals near Dallas, Texas, whether it's a couple of people working in any state in America, whether it's those who claim to be trained by ISIS or are not, they need money. They have to be able to carry out their fight. That's bullets, that's bombs, that's weapons, whatever else you need in order to get the job done. Where is that money coming from? We're talking about banks right now, isolating a lot of what goes on in the banks because they are using the international financial system to make sure that the money continues to flow, but that the money continues to go from place to place. That money goes from American banks to English banks, to French banks, to Syrian banks, to banks in China, to banks in Moscow. It bounces around the world, and somehow it makes its way into the hands of these individuals. The book itself is an account of the financial warfare that America now needs to undertake. Let's look at this from another perspective. We can put people on the ground just about any place. We can put them in Syria, we can put them in Iran, we can put them in Iraq, we can put them anywhere in the world. We can continue to fight the fights. But we have to eventually get to the core of how to fight these fights. Juan Zarate and others strictly believe that in order to fight this war, you have to get to the money. Now, we're doing everything we can. Let's be very honest. We've talked in recent months about how ISIS is transferring money and how the American government, even the president himself has said it, where they are looking to stop the flow of the money. It's not that easy. Talk to the people who are involved at ground level when it comes down to the finances of America, the finances of the world, finances on any given continent. And they will tell you that you can't simply stop the money from flowing, whether it be going to Iraq, Iran, in or out. That money, one way or another, winds up in the hands of people like the individuals in Dallas, Texas. And again, I'm not saying that they did get the money. Let's be real clear here. But the people who are waging war one way or another have to pay for what they're doing. A lot of the equipment they use in the Middle East right now is equipment that they took from America. But there is still money flowing. The millions of dollars that ISIS continues to use thanks to the seized oil wells and other potential money-making facets that they have on the ground. It's finding that money that still leads us to the individuals. Let's bring something else into this discussion as well. And we apologize for not having Juan Zarate here, simply a technical difficulty that is out of our hands. But we want to make sure that we cover this because in the weeks to come here on MidPoint, we're going to focus on this. The money is one thing, but it is also then being able to uncover where the money's gone, where it's going, but who has it. Once again, this comes down to the National Security Agency and tremendous amounts of data, which is now being collected. This is something else that is always difficult to walk into. We talked about this yesterday on the show. As a matter of fact, we went into it in great detail, how we have to be able to, and if you talk to the experts, they will tell you we must be able to look at people. We must be able to have even greater security. We must be able to have even a greater look into the private lives of people. They will tell you, as they told us yesterday, Lisa Ruth told us, was one of our panel here yesterday, said that if we simply are not looking at this, if we are not trying to find these people, if we're not using everything at our disposal to do it, then we are taking the outside chance that someone is going to die again. Look, this is very tough. You and I both know, one way or another, that we are constantly being watched by a government agency. We all are. All you have to do is look around you. You see cameras everywhere. You see them in the streets. Go to a major city sometimes, and you will see cameras everywhere. We know we're being watched. But there are some people who say that while you go after the money, you've still got to go after the data, and you still have to go after the terrorists, which means you have to find them on the ground. You have to go after them. You have to look at their emails. You have to look at their mail. You have to look at their phone calls. This is touchy, and it's distressing because, let's face it, we don't want to know that we're being listened to. We don't want to be listened to. We don't want to be taped, and we don't want to be used. We don't want all our data out there. But there are those people who say that, and the experts that we've talked to, they say just like those people that we need to go after on the money, we need to do the same thing on the data. Because if we can't put the money together, follow the money, and if we don't then follow the data, we cannot find the terrorists. We cannot find them. So the thing here that people need to understand, and that we're going to ask you right now is, do you mind giving up a little bit of your security? Do you mind having a government watch your bank accounts? Do you mind an agency watching you, listening to you on the phones and watching your data, if indeed it means that America can be made safer? Here we go. Let's give you a shot on this. Because there's always, well, there's more than two sides to every story. There's 1,000 sides to a story. Contact us and let us know what you think. These are the incorrect, well, these are the old versions, actually. No, I'm right. Let me back up. I'm wrong. These are the right versions here. Go to MidPoint TV at twitter.com. Just send it at MidPoint TV. NewsmaxTV.com to send us an email. Or at Facebook, go to MidPoint TV. Do you mind having your money looked at? Do you mind having your phones listened to? If it means, as some people tell us, that we have to do it in order to be secure and find these killers and stop them before they kill somebody that might be close to you, you let us know and we'll talk about it. All right, again, we apologize for Juan Zarate. We will have him on the show in the near future. Now, here's another who would be king, or at the very least, President of the United States. We know his taxes are paid. It's time for him to talk. We'll do that on MidPoint next.